welcome back to CLCI Live.
Hi.
Hello. Happy holidays.
Before we begin, let's quickly go over the usual, which is please take a moment and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and like, share, etc. But before we begin, let's just say please give us a subscribe. Also, in addition to that, we are monitoring comments, so we would love for you to join in the conversation. We want to hear from you. We are live so that we can hear from you. So please join in the convo. All right, that is all from me. I'm going to hand it over, at least for now. What are we talking about today, guys?
Coaches, are you being scammed? Are you scamming yourselves? I don't know. What did we actually decide on a actual title for this?
Is life coaching a scam? Is the title.
Is life? Oh, that's.
I'm just kidding.
Is life?
That's what Jen's running with. We've got Decoding Dishonesty, how to identify a scam.
That's what we're doing.
But it will.
Yeah. So we get a lot of new, business owners coming into the life coaching industry, getting certified, and they may be susceptible to certain scams out there in the business world. Or if you're looking for a life coach, maybe there's some people out there who are scammers pretending to be life coaches, trying to sell you success when really they're just trying to take your hard-earned cash.
You gotta make it sound more ominous, not just matter of fact.
Yeah,
I think that also anyone is susceptible to a scam, not just I think that was part of what we're here today is that as soon as we think we're immune to being scammed, we probably just made ourselves more scammable. So, oh hi, how are you doing? Good to see you. We have somebody who's a new learner and is excited about learn more about us.
Nice.
How do we pronounce your name? Oh, yeah.
Well,
Hi, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
I'm sure I pronounce it correctly before I destroy it.
Yeah, it looks like we're talking to nobody right now. If we could just show comments.
Nah, is that right, Nah? Okay.
Nah, hi, Nah. It's nice to meet you. Thank you for clarifying that for us. Welcome in. Good to see you. Okay, so we've talked generally. What do you think is the more obvious? We don't even have to say life coaching. Like what are your go-to telltale signs that it might be a scam? Like when is it really standing out for you in any given situation?
Yeah, let me help you earn 6 figures.
Yeah, that scammy language.
I'm going to, and I'm trying to filter all my thoughts here. Whenever I'm reached out about something, I assume it's a scam. And this is probably the best way to scam me, is if I go looking for information or I am doing the research and I'm contacting people, then my guard is down. But if I get a random phone call, and I've got this version of a phone call many times where it's somebody saying they're with Microsoft Securities and my computer needs updating and I need to get on my computer and allow them access to my computer. Like, no. Anytime anybody reaches out to me about anything, I assume it's a scam until disprove it.
There's a super annoying one that we get all the time through our email saying your Facebook account may be suspended or deleted. And as soon as I see that as the first title in the email, I just immediately disregard it because I know it's a scam.
Yeah, because we know that there is no Facebook account that is linked to the email it's going to. Yeah. So that's really my favorite. Jen, do you want to say something to Nah?
You want to learn to be a life coach. I'm happy to have a genuine conversation with you about that. So please call in to our office during our office hours, and I would love to talk to you.
Jen.
And you might be unlucky, and you might get.
I know I found out. I think this is a long time ago. I was shopping for something that I think I was looking for. I was some kind of big purchase, and I was just like looking around in various areas, and there was a thing where they were like, "Oh, we want you to. You'll just have to make a deposit. The deposit was going to be like bigger than like they, or it was going to be less. Somehow they were going to it was that I was selling something. That's what it was, and they were going to overpay me for what I was selling." And it was like this whole, and I was like, don't trust you. Not happening. No. And I think that I've even had people reach out in a scammy kind of way in the coaching space where like they were pretending to look for a coach. And they wanted to hire me for my services, but they were never willing to like get on the phone with me, but they were going to pay me. And they weren't willing to do like the introductory call. It was all like via an email, and the spelling was funky. And I was like,
Yeah, bad spelling is also another indicator of a scam.
Not to say that we don't make some mistakes, but it's like real bad. It's real bad.
So how those scams typically work, and this is good for new business owners if you're thinking about getting coaching, is that somebody will pay for services like right up front, and the money will be moved into your account, and then they say, "Oh wait, I need a refund. I need this reversed immediately, and it's super important. I just went to the ER or something. I need the charges reversed immediately." And then you send the money, but they won't like do a refund. They'll say, "Can you just send it to me like a person-to-person payment? I need the money now." You send them your payment person to person, and it turns out the money you just sent your money to them, and the money that they gave you never was there. It bounced.
Or they cancel. They do a chargeback on their card, and now you've double paid them back. And they do that a lot too with like what's it called? Like goods, like on like websites like Etsy and things like that, where as soon as the shipping label goes out and they know that it's been shipped, they then dispute it with like their card, and there's like no recourse. And now they have both received the item and disputed the charges for it, and so they get the item for free. That's just so gross to me.
There's a Venmo scam right now too, where you get sent $500, and then a few minutes later they go, "Oh, hey, can I have that back? Don't give it back."
Yeah. That's the same scam that
I haven't heard that one.
No, thanks. It's mine now.
Don't give it back. They can take that up with Venmo, and they can, because as long as it's sitting there and you don't touch it, it's fine.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure like a lot of, if you're a business who's using like Venmo or Square or some other sort of like QuickBooks or something like that, they have like blogs and guides out there for like scams to look out for, especially if you're new to this process of invoicing and getting payment for your services. It's good to be aware of this stuff before you get too into the weeds. Nothing really is an emergency. You can take the time to sit for like an hour or two, do your research before you start sending money to people willy-nilly.
There's one that was similar to what Brooke described. If I wasn't expecting a scam, and that's kind of what I read into the articles that we were researching today. You don't expect the scam when someone is reaching out to you for coaching, and he's going into the hospital and he's dying and he wants 5 of his family members to come to you, and he wants to prepay. I say he because it was a guy, who knows who it was. He wants to prepay for everybody, and then it just kept getting bigger and bigger. Oh, and I want to have them take a limo, and will you pay for the limo? I'll give you the money now, and will you pay for the limo? And then if you just give me your merchant ID, then I can forward. Don't give your merchant ID. I eventually figured it out before I didn't give them anything. But anybody that keeps pressuring you on those kinds of behaviors, especially as a new coach who, you want clients, but you don't want that. That's a big mess.
How about the big one for new coaches that I get literally every day? Hey, Jen, I see you're doing some great coaching. And then it's like, boom, like sales, 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 sales. But they're leading with like, they want to know what my goal is for my business. What is up with that?
They're looking to gain trust from you.
Oh, good Lord.
They want to make friends with you.
Email? Not going to happen.
Yeah, I know, but that's the idea. I'm sure that's the idea behind
And
it.
here's the thing. Here's what breaks my heart about this is like this happens all the time, and we certify coaches, and they go out into the world, and the moment they list themselves as a coach, and the moment they start getting into a coaching algorithm, right?
Mm-hmm.
The people come out of the woodwork to basically like overwhelm them with, this is how you do it. This is what you should do. How can I help you? I can get you more clients. I can do. And there's just, it's so overwhelming. In fact, that we've had recently graduated coaches get like panicky about it and pull themselves off of social, get overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. I know of coaches that invested a ton of money and didn't get the results that they were promised. And it's so hard to know who to trust and who not to trust. And you're just starting a business. And the truth of the matter is, most coaches come into this going, I just want to help people. The business part scares me the most. And then there are these other people, and I dare say coaches, that are preying on that. And they know that. And they deliberately target these people, and they deliberately target their insecurities, and they pretend to have the solutions, but they don't have to back that up with anything, right? And it breaks my heart, man, because I know it just is, not only creates this extra overwhelm, but a lot of coaches end up spending money and time where it's just not that helpful. And then they a lot of times guilt trip them, make them feel like they're the problem. They're the reason it wasn't successful. And that like is like the extra heartbreak there. And I really wish that didn't exist. That's the wantrepreneur. So, right. What breaks my heart with that, I love that term, the wantrepreneur, is people who graduate and they go out there and they call themselves coaches, but they have never worked in a marketing field, and they have never worked been a successful coach, but they decide that their business is going to be teaching brand new coaches how to become successful coaches and market themselves as successful coaches. But they have no training in that, like zero. And it just that kills me, man. That really, really kills me.
And to be fair, it's not just in the coaching world. It's in everywhere. Every genre out there. We're just talking about the coaching world because that's who we are.
Well, and it's, and yes, everybody gets inundated with this. I mean, and the number of emails I get on a regular basis. Do you want to increase your client base? Do you want to, or when people like pretend that they know what I do for a living, but then they ask me questions that, well, if you know, then you should know this already. Why don't you look at my stuff instead of asking me? Like, you know what I mean? It's annoying. Right.
The most recent one that I got to was the magazine one, where I literally had to send it and say, guys, what is this? Like they want to do some highlight on me, like I'm some superstar. I'm like, what?
Yeah. And then a lot of times those aren't even like there's not even a real link. Like most of the time, I mean, most people will be upfront right out the gate. We want to feature you, and they will tell you either it's not going to cost you anything or what they want in return. Mm-hmm. Those other ones, they bury that lead. Like they bury it, right? Yeah. Deep. And they get you excited. They get you emotionally invested. Mm-hmm. And then they throw you got to spend money at you. Right. And there's no guarantee that that's going to get you anything either, right? Very frustrating. And this is us talking a little bit about what you might encounter when it comes to coaches when you get out there. Before we leave the realm of how people are scamming us brand new coaches, what advice would you give a brand new coach to look for in order to differentiate or what to listen to and which noise to ignore, essentially.
Well, I think, and I would agree, is that research. And I mean, that's what we've read throughout the articles, just research, just make sure the coach is a credentialed coach. We use ICF, International Coach Federation. We think they are a valid organization to govern us, in a sense, to keep us on the straight and narrow. I would look for a coach who's been credentialed by them and see what kind of testimonies can you reach anyone. There's probably, if someone's going to be a really good scammer, we have to see through some of the weeds. And someone who is pushing us, I think is the other side of that. If we feel too pushed, that's an indication that that's probably not someone we want to go with.
Yeah, I think that's a really good tool. A lot of times there's this application of time pressure and time sensitivity. Have you ever been in one of those webinars where they, you're only going to get this amazing deal if you sign up within this amount of time? By the time the webinar is over, and you're saving some just ridiculous amount of money, and that's them preying on, one, you're excited, hopefully they've given you some good information, and two, all right, we're gonna lock them in.
Or they'll say, sign up by the end of the webinar and you get this bonus worth all this money. And it's like, what?
And get 2 Ginsu knives. Not 1, but 2. I'm just kidding.
I think it's funny because Anthony just asked, don't we kind of do that? But I think the big difference being, we give everybody a week. We give you sign up within a week and you're gonna get $200 off. And it's not like this. It's not like it's a small. When you look at the whole picture, right? It would have been $12.95. It's not a. Most of those people will tell you you're getting a $5,000 value and you're spending $300, and and they've thrown in everything but the kitchen sink, and it's hours, minutes pressure, and it's they're live with you pressure, and I don't think we apply it in such a way.
No.
Quite
frankly, I'll approve stuff a week after it should have been. If I just see it show up in the registration, sure, whatever. I don't just get them.
Don't be giving all our secrets away.
Yeah.
But that's that hard and fast, do it now. I think, I mean, there's so many dangers in that too, because now you've got sunk cost fallacy. You've got for the person who's bought, on top of that too, they're also battling with buyer's remorse, and I do ick.
Well, we're starting to lean in towards maybe unsavory business or marketing practices. When I think of scam, I think of I am being lied to, or there's some deception, and it's probably illegal. If the scam was found out, it is somehow something is illegal is happening, or at best unethical.
And I think that dovetails nicely into what a lot of organizations that are selling coaching that do participate in sort of, it becomes a pyramid scheme or a multi-level marketing kind of situation. And for you, those of you who don't know, multi-level marketing, for all intents and purposes, is you go, you buy a product, and then they bring you in and they go, okay, spend $500 ahead. So you're paying out of your pocket in order to typically get some kind of product in return that then you go out and sell. And then if you loop in more people, bring in more salespeople, they become your sales team, and they each have to buy $500 starter kits, and you get a kickback for that. And then the more people each of them recruits, and it gets bigger. That's why we call it a pyramid scheme. The more the top benefits and the least the bottom is benefited, right? So because if I recruit 2 people, I'm going to make money off of them. But then if they recruit 4 people, I make money off of each of those. And then if they recruit and just branches out from there. And usually on each of those two, those people are putting money back into so they're putting their hard-earned money back into the company too, in order to keep their sales going, or them trying to make money. And it becomes this sort of self-perpetuating process where a lot of times it's not very beneficial, especially to the lower bottom rung folks, but far more beneficial to the top rung folks. And we've seen that in there's still, a lot of companies out there that participate in these kind of MLM things. And I'm not a big fan of them. I try to avoid those quite a bit. There was one that I recently, I was excited about the one product, and I bought it, and then I found out that it was multi-level marketing, and I found out because of the way I was being marketed to, and then I was like, oh, and then I was like, can't you do this anymore? I'm done. I'm a little sad to see it go, but I gotta let it go. So
I think the most notorious would be like Primerica. I know Amway is coming up too.
Amway, and the ones that still exist. Not to call people out, but like doTERRA is one, Modere is one,
Scentsy, Cutco knives.
The one I see every day is like Monat. It's like hair care, skin care. Oh, they are pitching me that every day.
And the way, also the way that they get people into this is something that I think coaches, but also just anybody who's a new business owner or person who's an entrepreneur is a little bit susceptible for, because they promise financial independence.
Yeah.
They'll promise that you are your own business owner, everything you make is your income right there.
You call all the shots.
They are promising things that you want to hear, and they know that you are wanting this. And people who are typically life coaches, they're doing this as their own business. They are leaving, whatever job that they had, and they're working for themselves now. Now, some life coaches, will go on to coach internally for organizations. Maybe it doesn't really apply to them so much.
Well, and I'm just gonna throw it out there. There's been 2 documentaries put out about Twin Flames Universe, and I watched them, and I was so cringy, it was ridiculous. Because what do? They not only are they preying on trauma and heartbreak, so that's how they get in at the people at the basis level, and then they go, okay,
loneliness too. They're preying
on loneliness. Yeah, you got to buy all of our classes, and in order to really fully benefit, you have to buy every single class, and you have to attend our lives. And they start selling there, and then once through that whole thing, they're telling them the next level is to become coaches for them. And then, but you have to complete their coach training to become coaches. And then once you become a coach, you got to become a master coach. And then they bring you up from the master coach level to become they're basically unpaid staff, and it's just so icky, because they keep you in that realm where they're just you got to spend more, you got to spend more, you got to spend more. When you hear people talk about it, that it made them enough money for them that it became their livelihood, but they also invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into this, and the 50% of their income and their coaches is going to the 2 people that own the place, and that's really what I think a lot of people, when we hear is life coaching a scam, that is the red alert right there. That is what really initially gave a lot of coaching as a bad name. Not that Twin Flames Universe, but this multi-level marketing, this pyramid scheme thing where you get coached, then you get encouraged to become a coach, and then you get encouraged to recruit more people to also become a coach and join into this singular unit of whatever that coaching industry might be.
But I would add also, these people are calling themselves coaches, but they're not coaching. They're straight up emotionally manipulating and gaslighting people with a very specific, rigid belief system. So that's another reason why I think people will say life coaching is a scam, because if that's your definition of a coach, well then goodness, yes, it is.
Well, and that's a big red alert, right? Is the moment you're being told the way to do things and what to do, and this is how you should do things, you've exited, at least by ICF's definition, the standard of coaching.
Yeah.
And you've gone into a different realm.
Absolutely.
So some of that, you know, is normal business practice and can be honorable, offering discounts, asking for you to bring more clients in or students in, you know, some of that. But then it crosses over to a place like Brooke detailed, where it's more than just asking for you to like our business and bring more people to us. It's over that.
I think a big red flag is you can build out a referral program. Like I could build out a referral program where I went, okay, if you refer a client to me, then I'm going to give you a session, no charge, right? Or if you refer a client to me and they buy a 12-week package with me, then I'm going to give you X amount in return. And typically it's done like in a space of coaching session. Where it starts to get red flaggy is if I were to say to you, if I would like for you to be a brand ambassador for me, and I'm going to give you free life coaching for that. And then each client you bring in, I'm going to give you, a coaching session for. But if you get those clients to bring people in too, what's going to happen for them is, or they can become your, those people can give me money too, and you'll make a little money off of the people they bring in. And it starts to become this very
complicated.
The main money making machine of a business should not be referrals.
Yeah.
That should be the big red flag, is if nobody's making money off of providing the services or products, and the only way money is flowing through a business is through referrals.
It's through bringing in more people who are going to pay the top person, essentially. Yeah. That's icky gross. So building out a referral program is totally, that is a good and decent business practice and an encouraged one. But you just want to make sure you're doing it in a way that is not too much enmeshment, that is, above board, that feels like good business, and isn't manipulating or taking advantage of any of the clients you have. And you shouldn't be going into business with your clients. Like that's talk about enmeshment, right?
So simple. Keep it simple. As soon as it gets complicated, that is and really good indication that you may not want to go that direction.
Yes. And I know what can happen is we can build out lots of evergreen content and putting these things out there and everything. And I think it's one thing to find ways to incentivize people to buy things, but it's another thing to essentially hold what you do hostage, or hold the people that hold them hostage with offerings that you have to do this in order to be successful. Like we should always be coaching our clients towards a place of success, and that place of success should not be dependent on how well they're performing with bringing in clients for you.
And independence, right?
Yeah, and independence. Yeah,
independence, not codependence.
Yes. I mean, I think that's another big thing, like a big red flag when we're looking at these sort of culty like coaching businesses and coach certification businesses. Most of them are not coaching for independence. Most of them are coaching for dependence. Their whole goal is that you need our way and our way only, and they actually discourage you going out and looking for alternative ways. And I think that any decent coach, any coach worth their salt, if it's helping your client, we're in full support, right? Like, I mean, period. It's, I mean, at least for me, on a, I may not say that outright, right? As a coach, I'm in full support, but I'm also gonna just, if it's working for the client, then they'll let me know, and I'm gonna take their word for it, right? I'm not gonna discourage them from doing anything. The choice is theirs. So those are some big red flags to look for while you're out there searching the world. It does feel like murky water sometimes, I think, too, when we get into marketing and marketing practice.
I know somebody said LinkedIn is one place that they've gotten bombarded, but when I tried Thumbtack and I was putting my coaching practice on Thumbtack, that's where that scam person who was dying and had 5 kids and blah, 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 blah. So just as you go out in the social marketing area, just discern, be discerning. Don't fall for anything, investigate. Keep your stuff private. There's nothing that they need to have financially of yours. Just keep it all private.
A total sort of, Jerome, I see you wanting to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's, I mean, a really good way to put it is to think like a coach. Be curious and let them do most of the communication. You ask questions and let them come back to you with answers. You don't need their stories and things like that's when you know things are going to get murky for you. You just need the answers to the questions that you're asking.
Boy, am I short with those people. I mean, I don't talk to them. Honestly, I was run off of LinkedIn because of the number of messages. Like, I don't use it anymore. It's
Wow.
Like, I go on there. It's just like message after message after message after message after message. I'm like, I'm done. Like, I can't do it.
Wow.
So I don't even use it. And I know other people use it exclusively and they're able to maneuver through those waters, but I just don't have as much patience for it, I suppose.
I don't either. I've got all them like, what is this and why?
Another one, and this one's a less obvious one, and I would say it's not illegal and it's a little less of a scam, but it is really disconcerting when it happens. I have had several clients that were female, but this isn't exclusive to any gender, who listed a free offering and paid for ads for a free offering and had people book their time. And many of them, and this is a female, were gentlemen, and who were not at all interested in what they were offering, and truthfully just wanted to get on the phone with a woman.
Shocking. Wow. Would never think anything like that would happen.
And I'm not to say it can only go one way or the other, but
yeah, that's weird. That's never happened to me in my coaching before.
Can make somebody really uncomfortable, right? And really turn somebody off to an entire form of marketing. And so the biggest and simplest solution in that case is to charge for whatever your offering is. And it doesn't have to be a high ticket amount or a high dollar amount, but just enough. Just even a little, more than $1 will weed these people out.
Right.
I mean, probably should be 5 or more, but it will vary. That is the lowest or the simplest filter for that kind of nonsense.
Thanks, Steve.
As it were, right? Because the moment people are paying you, they're going to take it more seriously, right? They're going to and take less advantage. Not illegal, but definitely off-putting.
Yeah. You know who's really good at doing that? As lawyers. They will charge you for any amount of time that you take with them. So think like a lawyer. If just start charging people for whatever amounts of time, you'll be taken more seriously. And it'll filter out all the, things that, well, it's free. I'll just, try to take up this person's time for whatever reason that's not related to coaching.
I think too, just like even the more you coach and the more we start to learn, right, in our coaching practices, like I think we're a lot more giving in the beginning of any opening practice because we're just scared to death that it's not going to work and that, and then once we start to get clients in, we start to learn our lessons and we start to very quickly learn okay, I'm charging for this now. I'm charging for that, right? Okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. Okay, that like
Here's one that I see, or I have seen quite often since I've started working here, and it's the article or book piece. Probably a scam, but it's essentially what it is. And Brooke, I think you've been subject to this, or at least I filtered an email that was related to this, where it's like, hey, like I see you're an up and coming entrepreneur or coach or whatever expert you are. We want you to like write an article piece for us, or like write a section of a book for us because I'm compiling this book, whatever. And the first thing I ask is how much am I getting paid, and how much per word am I getting paid to do this? And then that's when it's like, oh well, you get like notoriety, and you'll get published, or vanity publishers will do this a lot. If you're thinking about marketing, like using books or things like that, vanity publishers will be out there, and they'll sort of bury the lead on that. Podcasts too are in that category. What Steve from Join Success said. Now, there is something to be said about exchanging services, exchanging backlinks, putting yourself out there when you know that you've got a warm audience who will be listening or reading this stuff. Like if, I don't know, Vogue magazine wanted to interview me, I would probably still ask for, how much money this is going to be. But I know a lot of people listen or read Vogue, whatever. If it's someone you don't know, go look into their traffic. You could do that through SEMrush. I've done that.
I really like that Anthony's going to be in Vogue.
Just naming publications.
Yeah, not Forbes, not Business Today, but
like the Vogue.
Yeah.
Just I don't know why, but back to what I was saying. I did this for some coaching like organization or website who wanted to get our students, like it was a new organization. They were like, oh, we want your students to like join our organization, and it costs like a couple $100. And I looked at them, and they had no website traffic at all. They had nothing, and they just wanted pretty much everything from us. So do your research, ask questions, try to figure out as much as you can about the people who are asking things. Yes,
I will say, like, as an organization in our company, and this is not as a coach, this is as a school, and we have a school of some success. We have, of course, been approached. We get approached all the time. And I usually send them to Anthony to filter through, or send them Jen, filter through, find out what they want, find out how much it costs. Tell me. And my questions are always, what do they want? How much is it going to cost? How many readers, viewers, etc. Do they have? I just want this information before I can assess if this is worth our time, money, and value to us. There's been plenty of times though that it's been a publication that maybe I've said, hey, they've got good SEO. They're coming up when I search certain things, and they may want an affiliate something, and I go, no, we're not going to do that, but I'm happy to do this with you, and like exchange an article, trade backlinks, do something like that. A lot of places are looking for that affiliate thing, and we don't play that game. So, but most places will still be very cool about if they like your organization, they're not going to not feature it because you're not going to give them a kickback or something along those lines. Most of the time, they'll just ask for you to, if they write an article about you or something like that, or do an interview with you, just for you to share it on your social, share it in your realm, share it with your people. And that to me is such a reasonable request, right? Also, anytime I've done an interview, it's usually me talking and then somebody else writing it down. I'm not writing like a big long article. We've had where we've agreed to do writing articles, but we should not be doing most of the work if it's going to benefit their thing the most.
Yeah, there's been a clear tit for tat kind of thing when you're exchanging articles.
They're like, we want to do an article on you, blah 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 blah. Oh, it's only going to cost you $700. Oh, or it's only going to cost you $2,000. It's like, okay, no, not interested.
That is just you're just paying for advertising
at that point. That's
and then you have to figure out, is it worth it to? Would it have been worth it for me just to buy a $700 ad in some,
somewhere else or something like that? Yeah. So I mean, that's all going to come out, and you're going to get those things. Just don't feel pressured. Don't be afraid to say no. And I think one of the best pieces of advice in all of this research was don't give it a time limit. Like give yourself the opposite of a time limit, but more time. Like give yourself thinking time. Like you don't have to answer anything in 36 or 48 hours or 2 hours. Like sit on it for a week and come back to it. And that's okay. I think most places, if they're reputable, the offer is still going to be on the table, regardless. So now, also, if they want you to pay them, they'll probably still be around because they think you're going to pay them money. But just get that part out of the way real quick.
Research it.
Yeah. Research is definitely your friend.
You know what I like to do? Sometimes I'll go along with a scam or a grifter and see how long I can string them along until they go nuts. That can be really fun and entertaining because you know at what point you're giving them too much information. But it's really fun to be on the phone with somebody and like hear their soul just being annihilated.
Oh my goodness.
There's some really great videos of this
You
online.
know what? Now someone's going to take that as a challenge, Anthony.
I go ahead. You know, I love it.
I think there's a streamer whose entire stream is based on messing.
There's a few.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people have made it like a sport and an entertainment, area to like mess with people who scam. So go watch those and learn something and be entertained at the same time.
Yeah.
My brother does that quite a bit.
Yeah.
If he gets a call, he does the same thing Anthony does.
What about?
Oh, go ahead.
What about the scam where it's like just promises, guarantees, and I'm sorry, but it's way too good to be true.
Then it is.
Like coaches who promise total enlightenment
And guarantee,
Guarantee
very
financial
specific
success.
results.
Well, I
come on.
want to read the fine print. Like, hey, fine. If it's a guarantee, then I want to know in what time period. When is this guarantee? When will this happen? When will this come into fruition? I want numbers. Like, get really granular with it and ask those. I have had when I had clients that I was doing like marketing and stuff with and branding with, and they were like, well, we're going to do this program. What do I do? And I was like, get granular. If they're guaranteeing you anything, ask them when, ask them how many, how much, ask them, you can also ask them the negative side. How many people have not gotten the guarantee?
Mm-hmm.
What happens when, like, ask all those questions that make them feel icky and they're scared of you asking. Like, don't ask all the positive outcomes. Ask them about all the gnarly, negative, bad things you can think of and see how they handle that and see how they manage that and see if they've got a response. Say, okay, well, fine. Ask them if they say, yeah, you're guaranteed this. Well, what do I have to do? What is my half of the agreement? I mean, this should be like if somebody's giving you a guarantee, that's for me a contractual agreement, and treat it as such and read the fine print and define the fine print and try to make sure there's no loopholes as best you can with that, because it's almost always too good to be true. Even lifetime warranties, man, or 1-year warranties on just a product. You know the difference between a company that's used to it, it has like the tools in place for you to get a replacement, versus a company that's going to make it like the most miserable situation on the planet just to like send back whatever your lifetime warranty thing is and get a replacement. And I know there are companies that absolutely make it, a living hell to return a product and come through on that lifetime warranty. And then there are the ones that do it very, very well. And you want to read the reviews and talk to people and really, again, take your time and do your research. And also don't be afraid to harass them.
Yeah.
If they're asking for a lot of money from you, ask every question you possibly can.
Don't actually harass them. Don't
actually
harass them.
But
she meant just be diligent.
Ask the questions they don't want you to ask. Ask the questions they're scared for you to ask. And those are usually the questions about the failure, questions about when it doesn't work. When they probably can talk to you all day about how successful their business is. And they've got those speeches memorized. So ask them the tough ones about the one times it doesn't work, and see what they say, and ask how that works, what the process of that is like. But most of the time it's BS, because most people can't guarantee.
Yep.
Well,
And-
and if we're talking about coaches, we cannot guarantee anything. If we're a credentialed coach with ICF, you cannot guarantee anything. There is no guarantee, because you're not in charge.
Yeah. Well,
That's kind of like, even with like becoming a life coach on the phone with us, like we don't guarantee you're going to succeed. Now we'll ask you, what is your metric for success? But like, even just looking at the statistics for like any new small business, within 5 years, most likely they'll fail, because people don't know what they're getting into when they're opening a small business. Now, for us on day 3 of Coaching 101, we try to set you guys up for success, know what your next steps are if you're trying to get into this as an entrepreneur. But we never say you are going to make a living being a life coach.
Yep.
You cannot guarantee that. And anybody who does guarantee that, if you're looking to become a life coach and you're looking at schools, anybody who guarantees that, maybe start looking other places.
I would
It's insane.
Yeah, the only way I can imagine that being possible is if they are seeding you paying clients, and I don't
Yeah.
for life, pretty much too,
Yeah.
right? Just not plausible. I mean, and the other piece too, when we say that might sound scary and run away, but what do we do? We guarantee you a certification if you complete our course, right? We guarantee you that
A skill set. We verify that you have a skill set that is applicable to the International Coaching Federation, and after a certain amount of hours, you can go through the whole rigmarole process of proving to them that you have enough experience to be a credentialed coach.
But we give you that certification and the steps you need to take. It's just like a university, right? You can.
Exactly.
How many people graduate with a diploma and do what with
Right.
it, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's holding that university accountable and saying that, how many. It's a question we get. How many of your graduates are successful?
Yeah,
And
what's
it's
the
like,
success rate of your graduates? It's like we can't
How do
possibly.
how do we measure
measure
that?
that?
To that.
Plus, how many different ways are people using this skill set? And so that metric is all over the board. And I think I would caution anybody who gave you a hard and fast response there, because there's a lot of unknowns that I would have a lot of questions about. Really moving on.
The thing that we can say is people run with this new skill set even into their personal lives, let alone business or whatever direction they deem it viable. So in that space, I think it's an important skill set that everyone could develop. Yet we can't guarantee what that person is, who they are, what they're going to succeed at. It depends on their ability to have a business skill set, marketing skill set, ability, if they don't have something, ability to hire for it. And no one can guarantee that.
That reminds me of another red flag that comes up, especially in this guru and coaching space, is any coach that is like taking 100% credit for their success. Like, I did it all myself. I did everything myself. Only I have the answers. I know because I did it, because I have the secrets, and I'm like, that is such BS, because I guarantee you they did not do it all themselves. I guarantee you they did not build their own website. I guarantee you they did not, they are working with other people that they're not giving credit to, and they're not being completely transparent with their business and business practices at that point. And what they're doing is trying to gatekeep success, essentially. And that's just not.
And if they're the only one who knows what they know, then they're the only one who can sell what they sell. And you need them because they have the exact formula for you.
Yeah. Well, and the concern there too is if I'm the only one who has this, well, then you're probably the only one it's worked for. And so I'm a different person. So that would be like just a lot of big concerns
Yeah, that's all. That's a big example of survivorship bias, which was in that, part of the research that we did on like how you look at data. If somebody, is saying they dropped out of school and they're, making millions of dollars with their entrepreneur stuff, you have to consider what are all the other people who didn't get an education, who tried to be entrepreneurs and failed doing it. It's less likely that they have the secret knowledge, and more likely they got lucky.
Yeah.
Um,
A sample size of 1 is not a sample, not a true sample. So,
oh well, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about it that way. A sample size of 1. Wow, interesting.
It's an anecdote.
Can make for a cool story, but it's not a blanket statement.
Yeah, does not a universal solution make, right?
It's true.
And so just these are all the red flags, right? As you go out there in the world to look for. On the flip side, also red flags for maybe how you word things as a coach and the verbiage you choose, and just simple ways for you to make sure what you're doing is above board and is conducting good and honest business. So we only have a few minutes left. I think in the last few minutes, let's just throw out there what we feel like are sort of the best practices for maneuvering, identifying, anything in the scam realm in coaching.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, mine would be to educate yourself. Yeah. Take the time to because a lot of people, you're stepping into a new world. This might be your first entrepreneurial step ever. There's no rush. Take your time to learn things, learn from the mistakes that other people have made. And join the success. Don't click unsolicited links. That's called phishing. You don't want to be a fish. That's it. That's all I got.
I think what comes up for me is kind of the opposite, in the sense of, as a coach, be sure to put your credentials down. Be sure to put links in that. If you're credentialed with ICF, put them in. Something that is a verifiable link so that you show up and you are recognized.
Yep. And I would say conversely to what Lisa said, if you're looking for someone reputable and they don't have any type of credentials that you can find, ask for them. If they can't provide you with them, maybe there's something wrong there.
Mm-hmm. So mine is to slow down, because sometimes, and I have this experience myself, I'll feel an emotional hook from someone's marketing. Whoa, they just spoke directly to me. They hit that pain point. They know exactly what to do next for me. And so if you just slow down, sometimes you can navigate that situation with a lot more grace and a lot more wisdom, rather than just immediately following that emotional hook and going all in.
Yes, and to all of those, one of the things to like the little details of verifiable credentials. So credentialing that is linked to a governing body that can actually be verified in a database that is public. In the same realm, the reason so many people don't trust testimonials a lot of times anymore. So that's why having something like a Google testimonials and Google reviews become so very powerful, because people trust Google reviews because they're from actual people. They're not fake and seeded, and those are real things. Because we're so trained to distrust so much that is out there. So use those tools. Now, if I'm wanting to avoid being scammed, totally agree with Anthony. Do your research with Jen. Slow down, take a deep breath. I've gone as far as, when it's a big expense that I'm making, finding people who I know have purchased said thing and reaching out to them and asking, hey, what do you think? I'm a mermaid and I'm buying a silicone tail. When you buy a silicone tail, they are one of a kind, but they also cost a tremendous amount of money. And there is this very talented person on Instagram that doesn't have a website, but I have all these concerns. So what did I do? I looked through the posts. I found people who have bought his tails or wearing his tails and to know him, and I instant messaged a sample size of 5-6 different people, and I asked, how do you like the tail? How did it turn out? How was the process? And I got information about it all the way through until I felt like, okay, I can trust this person and put a deposit down and give them some money and feel okay with it. But I took the time, I slowed down, and I did my research, and there was no pressure. I was allowed to do that, and that also is a very key piece of this. And my other advice is be wary of sunk cost fallacy. You may have spent a small amount of money. You may have spent a large amount of money, but don't ever let that be the reason to not to pull a ripcord. If it is not right, if things are going south, if not, you know what I mean? If it's not gelling and not working and not vibing and it doesn't feel right, don't force yourself to keep going. Be okay with just saying, okay, I'm done. I'm going to invest time and energy in a space where I feel more comfortable, and don't be afraid to say no and pull out of those kind of things in those situations. A lot of groups want you to just keep spending in their funnel, right? And it becomes the easy thing to do because it's comfortable and it, but it may eventually not be the right thing to do. So don't be afraid to step away from it and try something new.
There are learning curves and when you're operating a business, but definitely pay attention to when it is not serving you, and do not, just don't put any more money in there, like Brooke was saying. It's, there's some learning that you do put money out there and it goes down the drain, not down the funnel. And that becomes a learning stepping stone onto that next better serving marketing, advertising for yourself. Yeah.
And be wary of any place that wants you to recruit more people in to keep spending money and keep doing it, and they should recruit more people. Run from pyramid schemes, run. Thank you, Na. Thank you, Steve. Thank you so much for watching. Those of you out there, we are Certified Life Coach Institute. We are not a scam. In fact,
call and talk to me tomorrow.
we want to help you from being scammed. And yes, you can call, talk to us. We're actual human beings, and we're not going anywhere. So there's no giant time pressure. You're quiet, Anthony. We can't hear you.
Oh, he's muted.
I was saying, if you're going into business, don't lead with "I'm not a scam."
That's what every scam will tell you. I'm not a scam.
Just a quick tip.
Yes, also true. And in the same vein, our prices are going up in January. So not to apply any pressure, but we just want to be fully above board, let everybody know. So it is actually an opportunity.
You've only got about 2 weeks.
Oh, like 2.5. And then, but we've been talking about it for a while.
We've been talking about it for a while.
Just to really top it off there with the
no pressure.
All right. Thank you so much for watching. Check out Certified Life Coach Institute. We will be back next week with another live. It will be our last one of 2023. So our last one of the year. So please join us next week at 4 p.m. on YouTube or Facebook for our live. Absolutely. We will pop that number in there for you right now. Is somebody else doing that? There we go. Look at that.
I hear the clickety clacking.
All right. I'm gonna mute myself and let Jerome sign us off.
Guys.